Finally, Election Day is here, a chance for the good people of the United States, please, to put a handbrake on the idiocy of the Democrats and to slow the $4.5 trillion worth of spending of Joseph R. Biden before hopefully booting him in 2 years' time. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what's going to happen, but here are 5 things you need to know on Election Day. Number 1, Republicans are going to do very well, but it is going to be close. Now, in recent presidential elections and governor's elections and all the rest of it, it is only a little bit up or a little bit down that determines whether you're going to win or not. In the case of places like Pennsylvania and Georgia and Arizona, it is very, very close. And to give you an idea about what has changed, voter enthusiasm. New York Times poll from a couple of weeks ago says maybe that was the peak for the Republicans, and this on NBC.
By context, just 8 years ago in the midterm of 2014, it was about 85 million. That's how many more people have become interested in politics just over the last 8 years or so. And on the question of who's most interested in the midterm, a month ago in our poll, a couple of weeks ago, I should say, we were seeing a gap. We were seeing Republicans were much more likely than Democrats to rate themselves as highly interested in the midterm elections. In our newest poll, now a tie in terms of interest. 73% of Republicans, 73% of Democrats put themselves in the highest level of interest for the midterm elections.
Number 2, it's all about the economy, and the economy has moved independent voters. Yes, woke schools, yes, crime, but the economy has moved people out of the Democrat column over to the Republicans. Another thing worth mentioning, Democrats are losing Hispanic voters, Spanish American, Latin American, Central American, all voters that by large margins used to vote Democrat, but because of the wokeism and a whole bunch of other things, and especially the economy, they are voting Republican. This from CBS.
Democratic Party is clearly moving in a left-wing direction, whether it's on economics or social cultural issues. And most Hispanics are common sense, middle-of-the-road voters with, I would say, traditional or conservative values. And we don't want anything to do with that.
Get ready for a long night ahead. Every expectation is that because of the mail-in voting, just like last time, and how tight these races are going to be, yes, we will know something by the time you go to bed, but the final results won't come in for a couple of days. Now, there's also a whole bunch of fights that will inevitably happen after the election, including John Fetterman. There's a chance, believe it or not, despite the stroke, of winning in Pennsylvania, has already filed lawsuits because mail-in ballots that aren't dated properly are being rejected. He wants that to be reversed. And even Politico, which of course is the sort of insiders news website for lefty Washington, well, it, among other things, says among the 6 election security threats could be problems with voting machines. I'll let Tucker from Fox read Politico to you.
Quote, there are real risks, Politico told us, that hackers could tunnel into voting equipment and other election infrastructure to try to undermine Tuesday's vote. According to Politico, that's entirely possible because many states, quote, use wireless modems to transmit unofficial election night results to their central offices. These modems use telecommunications networks that are vulnerable to hackers, and malicious actors could exploit them to tamper with unofficial vote data, corrupt voting machines, or compromise the computers used to tally official results. Huh?
And finally, the best sport of all, regardless of what happens, is lefties losing it.
Russian businessman with ties to Putin is now admitting to trying to meddle in U.S. elections, both in the past and trying to interfere in the current midterms as well.
Yeah, that's right, David. Yevgeny Prigozhin has denied those allegations for years, but now on the eve of these midterms, he has said we have interfered, we are interfering, and we will interfere.
President Biden has been briefed by law enforcement officials on potential threats to the midterm elections. CBS's Jeff Pegues tells us that election workers have been a prime target. Good evening, Jeff. So what are federal authorities doing? Well,
tonight the FBI, Nora, is activating its command centers across the country with the potential for violence hanging over these midterm elections.
You can feel it in a lot of parts of the country, sewn into the fabric of these midterms, venom and a sense of foreboding and danger. Maybe it was the 18 cases of suspected voter intimidation in Arizona, including armed right-wing activists in masks and camo garb watching over secure ballot boxes. Or similarly, the 14 instances of potential intimidation or interference in North Carolina.
Congressman Tim Ryan with his closing argument on tonight's Last Word. Thank you very much.
We're going to bring it home, Lawrence.
Grab a cup. There'll be plenty of lefty tears.